So I just got back from the beach and I went on Facebook, of course, and saw a clip of this lady who I think is a lawyer or she is a social worker or something of that degree. And she was talking about how she went to the detention center in Texas, one of the centers in Texas that was originally for adults, was made for kids. And she spoke about the inhumane conditions that basically children are being subjected to. And she said that there are at least 100 kids in there that have sickness. And you know what? She also said that some of these kids have died. I know that some people don't believe news, but why would you make something like that up? I had a very alarming conversation with a minister and the other day, and I know that I just posted a video yesterday on the fact that if you're not talking about the problems that are being seen in the world and you're afraid to do those things, you're being disgraceful to God and to your congregations. But I had a very alarming conversation where I realized after that, because I've been trying so hard for so long to be the middle person where I give people the benefit of the doubt. And I've been sticking in a denomination and in churches and with groups of people that don't want to act in social justice initiatives because of the fact there are excuses and there is all these things you have to learn and you have to educate people. And I understand all that stuff, but it's really not that hard to act and to speak out against things that are unjust. It's not that hard to do. And it's not about you making the minister or the person in charge or the person who has a platform being biased. You can be extremely objective and talk about what's happening in the world and what's happening in communities, what's happening with the homeless. And I want to talk about this children at the border thing again, because it is absolutely terrifying. It's sickening. It's disgusting, and it makes me upset because it's. I don't have kids. I don't have any children, but I know that there are people, ministers, of churches that I'm a part of that have kids. And if this was happening to their kids, this was happening to a child that they knew directly, they would be heartbroken. But it's not, the message of this is not strong enough to say in a church. It's not strong enough because of the fact that you're worried about how far is too far to go with the congregation. That to me is just very, it's beyond frustrating. It makes me angry because I've realized that people want comfort so much. Young adults want comfort. This new population group of people that are so advanced in technology want comfort. They want the best new thing, the next new thing. And those things are really distractions. All this technology that we have, all this advertising, this marketing, this media is trying to take us away from, and also keep us busy from actually figuring out what's wrong with our world. What do you do with a child to distract them from dealing with their issues? You give them a toy. For many years, I have struggled with staying in a denomination and staying with people that I'm like, oh, if I just push them a little bit further and I just have hope, they will keep going. They'll eventually get the message. But I'm starting to realize maybe people just don't want to do the same things I want to do, and that's okay for them, but it's not okay with me. It's not okay with me because I have made a very firm, after this situation happened with these kids, and I talk about this a lot because the fact that it's the most sickening thing for me. The fact that all these kids have been dislocated from their families, the fact that these children are being sexually abused, the fact that these kids are dying, the fact that these kids have illnesses, and the government saying that, soap and toothpaste are not considered sanitary items. Soap and, not just soap, but sleeping on under a blanket that's not made of aluminum foil is not a thing that needs to be worried about. This is very alarming, and children specifically, when we talk about the Bible, let me talk about this for a second. Jesus says to have the childlike, the likeness of a child. Look at the children. You know, there's something beautiful about children where they have the ability to make this imagination, their dreams in their mind. And all this trauma that these kids are going through right now in these detention centers, and people not caring about them, because kids know that they're not being cared about. They know that they're being neglected. All this trauma stays with children for a very, very long time. Every single person, I'm sure, that might watch this video, or that might not even watches this video, every person that has studied social work or psychology or any sort of sociology knows that there is a certain age group that trauma gets imprinted in kids, and it takes forever, for a long time, for kids to get that out of their minds. Like, I was sexually abused as a child, and my mother went missing when I was 8, and my father wasn't around, and a lot of other stuff happened to me as a child, and it's taking me years to get through all that stuff. And I was also sexually abused by somebody who was not, a woman, and two girls that were young and all that stuff, that were older than me, and they were also traumatized too. And so, but it takes a while to get through that. And the reason why I'm so upset about these detention centers is because I understand what it's like to be a child and to be sexually abused and to keep silent, and for that stuff to manifest in years in horrible ways. And the fact that churches are not speaking up against this, not all churches, but the churches that are not, the pastors that are afraid to speak up out against these things, the people that I speak to that say that there isn't a problem, because they want to keep things the way they are in order to make change, in order to make a difference in the world. Difference means to be different, to have things different. It's not about sameness. It's not about keeping the status quo. It's about being there for and making a change where it's needed. And I'm finally at the point where I'm pissed, because the Bible talks about this righteous anger of God. And I have felt this a few times in my life. There are few things that get me this angry. One, when money from the church is being allocated to people that don't need it. When money is not given to the wider, and that actually goes back to how I feel about the government, not giving money to people and just the aristocracy or these group of people handling the money, and the wider community doesn't know or doesn't get it for whatever reason. That's one thing that makes me very mad, and I almost became an atheist because of that. 2, when people intentionally, knowing information, turn a blind eye to what's happening because they choose comfort. And I have been sitting back for months and years, and also trying to figure out why I've been so dissatisfied. Because I have realized something, that what is happening in our country is not a matter of these other people are being oppressed, these kids that I don't know that are not my own are being oppressed. These kids that are the family of God, that are children of, literally children of God, not even the big children of God, are being othered and being made as different. And there's not a lot that you can do from Chicago. I have talked to organizations that I've reached out, and they say to donate money if you're not in Texas, because a lot of these places are at the border. You have to donate money. You have to call Congress and talk to them and tell them to get these kids out of detention centers and to eliminate these detention centers, and to keep calling Congress, because they're the ones in leadership, are the ones that make change. 3, to share information that, any information that you get. So if you're on my Facebook or my Instagram or anything like that, you'll see me constantly sharing information about this, or as much as I can, because I don't want to annoy people, but as much information as you can, because a lot of people just don't know, because a lot of this stuff was put under wraps, and a lot of people just don't know what to do. But my specific appeal to pastors and people in leadership: start talking about this stuff at your congregations. We admire so much these big leaders like MLK and Rosa Parks and all these people. Those people faced arrest because they went against the government and people in charge that told them no. And you know what they were fighting for? Basic human rights and basic dignity. If we're not fighting for that in our congregations, if we are not advocating for that, yes, it's great to have these messages of faith and hope and love and all these different things. But there's something missing from that if we are not sharing that message of faith and hope to the broader community. And I'm not just talking about the community, if you're like in Edgewater in Chicago, or you're in Albany Park, or you're in the South Side. I'm not just talking about that community. I'm talking about your city, I'm talking about this country. I'm talking about the people and the injustice that you see. And if you're not sharing the information about that injustice because you're afraid, especially because, and that's the other thing that I have a problem with. There are all these sermons out there that talk about not fearing and going out there and Jesus walking on water and having faith. But then why are we so fearful, and so many people so fearful to talk about these injustices and these problems? Because they're afraid of what the congregation's going to say. They're afraid to shake up the water. But you have to do that. You have to do that. That is your call as a minister, as a pastor. It's not to keep people comfortable. It's to make them grow. And that's the other thing. You need to help people to grow to get there. So that's why I'm having lots of conversations that are uncomfortable with me, with people that I know in young adults. And I know there has to be a middle ground. I've learned that in social. You have to find a middle ground with people. But also you have to call out things objectively. What's happening with these kids, what's happening in our country is not right. There's no moral question about that. And if you question what's happening with these kids and what's happening in these detention centers, what's happening with immigrants, I'm not talking about what needs to happen in terms of like some things that happen that are uncontrollable. I'm talking about the things that can be controlled, and hardworking citizens, for example, being deported, and children literally being ripped from their parents. Those kinds of things can't be debated. So anyways, that is my my video of the day. I'm pissed. I'm pissed that not enough people that I personally know are talking about this stuff. I'm mad because I see people in my community, my communities that want to have fun over do the hard work, and then still want to have the name of Christianity. And I just think to myself, but if you don't get this, then you don't understand what Christianity was for. Christianity is a call to justice. When you get baptized, you are literally bringing trouble on yourself, because you are making a call and a declaration to the world that you're going to fight against injustice and fight for that call for everyone to be called a child of God. Christianity is not for yourself. It's to share and to spread and to remind people that the love of Christ and the justice of God is for everybody. It's not just for, like I said, the aristocracy. It's not just for a certain group of people. It's not just for certain elite people in church that sit in front and then don't know anybody in the back of church. It's not just for the pastor. It's not just for men. It's not just for straight people. It's for every single person. It's for children. It's for those in need. It's for the elderly. It's for the widow. It's for the poor. That is what the Christian message is for. A message of equality, a message of bringing the social gap of people who are wealthy up here and people that are lower down here, making that more equal, so that wealth distribution is redistributed properly, and so that people who need money are given money and given healthcare and all those different things. And churches, and this is why I feel like I should become a pastor and why I should become a minister, because, and maybe I can't do that in Seventh-day Adventism. Maybe I just can't do that in Seventh-day Adventism, because I already know churches that are doing the work. And I also have this mentality that, and I know this is okay. I was raised to think that Seventh-day Adventism is the remnant because of the fact they have this message. But if Seventh-day Adventist people are not doing the actual message of the Bible, which is social justice and being there, then I cannot be a part of that. I don't see how God, a loving God, would have a problem with me going to a different denomination, religion that is doing the work that's clearly there in the Bible, just on a different day or with a different group of people. I don't see a problem with that, and I'm not bashing Adventism, but I'm mad right now, and I'm not like mad to the point that I'm cursing people out, but I'm mad because what's happening in there's a lack of moral revival in our country, and it's as if people that I know are becoming desensitized to the needs of others to the point of it being normalized, and it's not right. It's not right, and but you know what I feel is going to happen? These tragedies that we see are going to affect us so directly, and a lot of people should know this, because you see people that are suicidal in your congregations and still nothing. You know, you see shootings, but no shooting like for the church or the congregation that you're in. And I feel like, I hate to say these things, but I feel like when you are silent Sometimes there needs to be an earthquake or a shaking to get you more vocal. And I hope that never comes to that. I'm not saying that that's caused by God, but I'm saying that sometimes that stuff happens to get people shaking and going. I pray that that doesn't happen. But I feel like the silence that we have, even if it's not a physical shaking, there is going to be like a moral and a shaking in the conscience where it's like, oh, I can't keep doing it. And that's what's happened to me. I don't feel satisfied going to churches anymore that don't have this message. Because I've seen churches that successfully have integrated social justice. And I mean, a lot of people have a problem with the term social justice, but it's just about equality and being there for people and like a message of God being a God for all people. That's what social justice really is about. It's about the society as a whole being given the love and justice and the equality of God. Like, that's all it is. It's not this huge concept that people have made it out to be. But I've seen churches that are doing that and integrating that into their service, and I've tasted that, and it's hard for me to go back to services that don't have that. And not that they don't have that because I believe that churches can learn, but that are so resistant because they are comfortable and want to stay the way that they have done things over and over again, and that refuse to believe and think that there's a problem. So now I've backed off from a lot of things I used to do because I am back in line and in tune with my social work roots. Why I went into social work in the first place. Because everybody should be given the same rights. And even if you're an atheist watching this, anybody should be given the rights of love. And I always talk about this because I believe God is love, and love is like something that anybody can understand. Everybody should be given these rights of love and equality and freedom and liberation and being treated as a human being, not put in a cage under an aluminum foil blanket. So I have to really direct my anger now in the places that I know it can be given, and also doing it logically and objectively and being conscious of the fact that not everybody is going to go on this journey. Not everybody is going to be there for those in need. But movements start with a few people and with small groups. And even if I'm alone or only with a few people, that's okay. And I've realized that now, because I'd rather be with a few people than with 100, 200 people and everybody else is silent. Where ministers are afraid to say these messages, where elders are afraid to do things, where the services are the same. And I'm talking about church when I say this specifically. But the conversations need to be done because, and I'm speaking specifically to Christians, this is the call of Christianity. The social justice is the call of the gospel. Understand church history, understand why movements were made. This is not just Christianity, this is also Islam, where it's like equality, being there for people, make sure that everybody's equal. And this is the call of God. This is the call of God of the way the world should be, and it's not. And the fact that we're disconnected from that is a problem. And I am going to dedicate my time and my life to, one, finding a bridge between those who don't understand, who want to, and understanding. And just being there for all people, because that is what is needed right now. So have a good day. Thank you for watching and listening to me. Do what you can right now. Do your research. Talk to your Congress people. Talk to your representatives. Reach out. Donate money. Eat less. Eat out less. If you don't have money, stop eating out as much. If you eat out, I'm saying, pull back on all those different resources, because we have to start giving our resources to these people in need. And that's what money was here for, to share. It's not for us to just keep to ourselves. So have a good day. Do what you can and stay blessed and stay safe.